like to have the pleasure to introduce our new Center for Spiritual Living field leader, Reverend Sharon Hudson.
That was great. Good morning. I'm the Grand Poupon now. I'm in charge of everything. I want you to know that my brother, Norman Smith, who's visiting today, lives right here in Castle Rock. And his lovely wife, Pat. And so I'm staying with him, and I thought, why don't I go to the Castle Rock Center? So here I am. It's a joy to be with you. I've always wanted to visit, and now I'm here, and I can't believe you actually asked me to speak. Better watch out. So our topic today, the theme for the month is Rooted in the Divine. And that's also the topic for today. Kind of a time to, this is really hard for me having this in front of me. I kind of want to come out here, but they tell me there's no light right here. So how do I look? Is it better?
You're in the light.
Dark.
Good.
Now I feel like I can't back up. So I'm going to start here. So rooted in the divine. There was a rabbi, late at night, deep in thought, walking, deep in thought. It was dark, very dark. And all of a sudden he came upon a very high wall. And so he looked up, and there's a turret with a guard in it. And this guard yells down, "Who are you and what are you doing there?" Silence. The rabbi just keeps looking. So the guard yells again, "Who are you and what are you doing there?" Silence. For the third time, the guard really lets him have it, and you better turn the volume down. "Who are you and what are you doing there?" And very calmly, the rabbi looks up and he says, "How much do they pay you to do that?" 10 pence. "I will give you twice as much if you will come to my house every day and ask me those two questions." Who am I and what am I doing here? Who am I and what am I? Did you hear her read, "Who am I"? I heard you read, "Who am I?" We should be asking that question, who am I? And what am I doing here? Well, I'm still figuring that out. I have notes here somewhere. It tells me who I am. I don't know. My mother was a spiritual seeker. And when I was young, we started going to all kinds of interesting churches, and not the normal, not the mainstream. We went to things like School of the Natural Order. Probably never heard of that one, right? A mystic, kind of Indian-like. Very interesting. I didn't understand a word he said, but his presence was amazing. We went to Self-Realization Fellowship, and we found unity and religious science. When I was a teen, I was in a religious science youth group at a big religious science church in San Diego. The name of our youth group was RUCATS, our recognition. Did anybody recognize that? 5 steps of treatment, our spiritual mind treatment, our way of prayer, 5 steps of affirmative prayer. Recognition, unification. Now for us, it was choice, the 3rd step for us. Instead of what we normally pray, the 3rd step would be just affirming what we really want. But we had C for choice, so now you speak your word for what you want, right? Acceptance meant I accept that it's already mine. And we do something slightly different today. This was decades ago, remember. I'm not that old, though. Keep that in mind. So acceptance, I accept that, what I'm choosing and declaring in my life is already mine. And finally, T for Thanksgiving. RUCATS, I always remembered the 5 steps of prayer because of that. When I was about 15, I was walking in the fog, watching the edge where things began to appear, because there was nothing right there. It was white. It was very thick fog. And I would say from here to the back of the room is the first place things began to be revealed. And I was just watching things be revealed. And I had this amazing, deep spirit. Oh, it just gets me every time I think about it. An amazing experience of the divine. I can't describe it in words. It was overwhelming oneness, a feeling of immense love, a deep connection to all of life. It was very, very powerful. And because I was in this youth group and loving this philosophy that changes lives, transforms our lives, doesn't it? It really wakens us to our own spiritual magnificence, right? Because I was in that, I went to my mom and I said, "Mom, I want to be a minister when I grow up." Remember, I'm 15. And you know what she said? Now, my mother's a very spiritual person. She's the one that got me there, right? She said, "No, you don't." She said, "There's too much politics and not enough money in churches." Well, I was very young, and actually that can be true. But I've proven that it's not really true. We get to make it up, don't we? We get to choose to have prosperous churches which have harmony, collaboration, deep love, support for one another. As field leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, my whole purpose is that we have healthy, vibrant churches, centers, ministries. I believe that when that happens, everything, we really can create a world that works for all, yes? Yes. So that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. So when we talk about who am I have a slide. Ernest Holmes says, you belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with a creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. So we talk about being rooted in the divine. This is who we are. We are part of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. What I love about religious science, science of mind, Centers for Spiritual Living, is that we each get to seek and find and discover the divine for ourselves. We can call it many names. I love that our founder, Ernest Holmes, called it all kinds of things. And, infinite intelligence, cosmic consciousness, God, Lord, Spirit, the one mind, all kinds of words. So, it's about finding what feels right to you for that divine connection, yes? My favorite thing lately has been the divine creative activity of the universe. That's my name for God. The divine creative activity of the universe, because that life, that energy is flowing and creating all the time, and we so can influence it, can't we? With our own faith, with what we really believe and accept in our heart of hearts. And as we grow our understanding of who we truly are, that our lives change amazingly. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, you are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is something in you telling you this. Like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a light whose origin no man has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. That experience as a youth has stayed with me, and this philosophy is my life, Many years later, I would say it's about 28 years ago, maybe more, 29. Gee, I don't want you to get an idea how old I am. I'm really very, very young. I went to Asilomar. We have an annual spiritual conference retreat at Asilomar. We used to. Now it's going to be someplace else, near Salt Lake, I think. And Alan Cohen did a workshop, and he took us into a meditative state and asked us 3 questions about our life's purpose. And I got the call again. I came out of that meditation knowing that with my whole heart and soul, I wanted to be a minister. This was my call. And it was I was engaged at the time. I met this guy after my Science of Mind 2 class. See, here's the thing. I'd already been married twice, and I learned a lot of things from them, and they were both good guys, still friends. But I was now engaged to a guy. We'd been together 2.5 years. We were planning to get married. And I had this call to ministry. Now, I waited 2 weeks to see if it would go away. And I took him out to a very nice restaurant and set him down and said, honey, I want to be a minister. It means I need to go to school for 5 years, because I still had to do 2 years of practitioner training, 3 years of school of ministry. And he just about fell off the stool. And then he started spouting things like opiate for the masses and saying things like, oh my gosh, because, I had a great career. I was all kinds of things. I was a computer software system designer. I was manager of data centers. I did all kinds of cool stuff. But so he was a bit in shock. What's interesting is this year will be 30 years ago that we met. And we're still together. We've been married more than 25 years. So this stuff works. This stuff works. Princes, palaces, and parking places. Princes, palaces, and parking places. I finally found my prince. He was the answer to prayer. My whole Science of Mind class prayed for my perfect partner for life, and I met him when that class ended. And we are so happy together. So it's interesting, because he totally shifted, and he did the announcements the first month we started. I founded a church, a nice church, a great church. And he was my sound guy for like 2.5 years. I see Tony back there doing the work. Yay for you. Yay for Tony. So I told my mom that I wanted to become a minister again. And remember, my mother studied for the ministry herself. She became a practitioner, and she taught meditation. She did all kinds. And she said, what, and give up your great career? That's my mom. But I want you to know she's very proud of me. She was, couldn't have been prouder and happier, because I did follow that path. And here I am today. That's how I got here. Oh my gosh. Can't believe it. So what does it mean to be grounded in the divine, and what difference does it make in your life and my life? I think the first thing that I notice is when I really remember that that divine presence is always with me. That divine something is the very core of my being, always available. I can turn to it for the choices and the decisions I make in my life. And it is creative. Whatever I believe is really what happens to me. Yes? Yes. I now sense into that intuitive knowing that God gives us whenever I have to make a decision. Even if it's just which way to drive from my house. I can get places by going two ways, this way or this way. And I sense into which one's the best route every day when I get in my car. I literally do that. It's just the easiest thing. And I have a sense, oh, go this way today. Oh, go that way. The signals are better that way today. And I follow it. And when I don't, I'll tell you, I have learned after years of trying this that it's really best to follow that intuition. If I'm packing and I'm thinking, oh, you ought to take your umbrella, I might go, no, it's not supposed to rain. But now I listen and I take the umbrella anyway, because guess what? It is going to rain next week and I'll still be here. So, and when I looked at the weather, it wasn't going to rain. But when I looked at it last night, it's supposed to rain before I leave. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. One time I had to make a decision. I'd been serving our Centers for Spiritual Living as a regional support coordinator. That means that I serve, well, it's gone up to 54 centers. Right now it's about 38 centers in Southern California and Hawaii. Supporting them when they're having challenges, calling regularly, connecting, so they feel part of this larger thing. And I had taken a sabbatical for one reason. I kind of quit. I actually quit and thought I wanted to get my life back because it takes a lot of time. And it's a volunteer position, just remember that. And then I got a call saying, hey, the person that took over for you can't do it anymore. Would you come back? And I kind of was on the fence. So guess what I asked? God. What a concept. And this is the first time I ever tried this. I said, give me a sign. I've heard about people asking for signs, and I'd never really done that before, because usually it's just an inner, got to watch out. I like to pat myself. It's an inner feeling. It's an inner knowing. So I said, give me a sign, and I got 2 signs immediately. The first one was someone called me, and I was really good helping them solve a problem. I thought, I'm really good at this. Maybe I should do this. Then on Facebook, believe it or not, someone posted a video of the Beatles singing the very last time they played together and sang together on top of the building on Abbey Road in England. And guess what they were singing? Get back, get back, get back to where you once belonged. That's the only reason I'm here today. It's the Beatles' fault. Seriously. So we know that there's an intuitive, there's a wisdom that's always available to us, yes? And that's there for us to tune into no matter what is going on. The other thing that I know is the power of prayer. We discover how creative we are. The universe is always ready to say yes. And it's so hard for us to remember to pray about stuff. Let me just give you an example. I was going through my lazy butt period not long ago, like about 3 years ago. And my feet were really bothering me. My big toe, turns out, has no cartilage between the bones. It's bone on bone, and that's very painful, actually. And so I would walk, try to keep from bending my toes, and so I wouldn't take very big steps because I needed to keep my feet flat, I was slow. Now my husband's an athlete. He's 12 years younger than me, and he hikes around the lake, goes up for a hike about 5 miles every day. And so I just kind of didn't feel like doing that, Sometimes this stuff gives you a good excuse not to. He went with me to the podiatrist. He saw the x-rays, bone spur, bone on bone, big pain in the feet. And here's what happened. Lazy bone time was going to be over because I decided I should pray about it. And seriously, in one of my meditations, I decided I didn't want to have painful feet. I like to have energy. I want to be energized. And when you walk slow like that, there's something that kind of it was hard for me because I'm used to going fast. So I prayed about it. And in my meditation, I just got this message so clearly that I needed to walk. And so I told my husband, honey, I got a message that I need to walk. He said, I'll walk with you, whatever you want. I'm here for you. So we would go to a track near our home at a park, and 3 times around it was a mile, a nice kind of, track that was comfortable to walk on, very flat, level. I could go about halfway around that track and my feet would be killing me and we'd hobble back to the car. But we kept going. and we kept going. And pretty soon, and it wasn't very long, I was walking 2 miles with very little pain. I want you to see how I walk today. I can walk like this. I mean, seriously, my feet do not hurt. Okay, now is that the answer to prayer or what? I mean, really? So I don't know what happened. I don't know if my toes grew cartilage or all the nerves died. I have no idea. The point is, prayer works. I was in Asheville recently at a minister's conference, and the minister there gave a talk at their Wednesday night service, and one of the things she says, we've grown 2 kidneys through prayer in our community. That just stuck with me. We give up on the physical stuff. We think, oh, this is how it's going to be forever. I'm going to have to walk slow because I'm getting older the rest of my life. Do not buy into that. Are you ready to not buy into that stuff?
Yes.
Please. It's quality of life. We can have whatever we want, really seriously. So who are you? Who am I? I discovered a long time ago when I was in the school of ministry that I have a mission in life. And it's just 3 simple words. And to me, they're very powerful words. So I thought I'd share them with you today. To know oneness. To know oneness. When I'm with anybody, I see you. I know we are one in the divine. When you're rooted in the divine, you can see beyond whatever's happening. You can see beyond the difficulties in the outer world. You can see beyond the person in front of you that might be doing something that seems like an attack even, and see that back of that, it's a call for love. There's something off about them, and you can hold them in the divine light, knowing that they are on their perfect path to discovering their own spiritual magnificence, the truth of who they really are. That's my purpose, my goal. I think the other thing about really being grounded in the divine is that we are the presence of the divine. There's a song that goes, you are the hands, you are the heart, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do, I can't remember now, is a blessing. See, I knew it was something great. It's a blessing to the world. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. So my calling is to be a blessing to the world, and so is yours. And I think that's what our philosophy teaches us, that we can and we are a blessing to the world. I have another quote up here. It says something about, we must learn to live by inspiration. That means that we should let the spiritual depths of our being flow through our conversation and into our acts. There's another one. This is actually all from the Essential Ernest Holmes. It says, to live by inspiration means to sense the divine touch in everything. To sense the divine touch in everything and enter into the spirit of things, to enter into this joy of living. One of the things I love about really discovering who we are is that we live in freedom, we live in love, we live in joy. We are the presence of the divine. There's a story, you've probably heard it, about a teacher that was asked to substitute teach and work with this class of children, and they were actually very special children. They were a little bit behind in school. And she did amazing things with them. By the time the school year ended, those kids were all up 2 or 3 grade levels in everything. They just shone. And they went to the teacher and they said, how did you do that? These have always been the most challenging students in our school. This is a very special class we gave you. She said, oh, well, you gave me their IQs. And so I knew that I had to treat them as really brilliant, intelligent young people. And so he said, what do you mean? We didn't give you their IQs. She said, yes, you did. And she pulls out this list. John 145. Principal looked at that and he said, oh, that's interesting. Those are their locker numbers. You see, when we see the potentiality, the possibility in others, they rise to that. We rise to it when someone sees something amazing in us. Yes, we do. We just do. There's a story I want to tell you. How many of you heard the Rabbi's Gift, the story of the Rabbi's Gift? Oh, goody. I'm so happy. This is a good story. This comes from the book, The Different Drum by M. Scott Peck, Dr. M. Scott Peck. And it's about a monastery that had fallen on hard times. due to the 17th and 18th century anti-monastic persecution, and then in the 19th century there was a rise of secularism, all the branch houses had been lost, and only the mother house remained, and there were only 5 monks left there. And so it was clearly a dying order. Now, deep in the woods, near this monastery, there was a hut where they knew a rabbi from town would come and have a little hermitage. He'd come there to pray and to just be together. And the monks had been in prayer and contemplation for so long, they'd kind of gotten a little psychic, and they always knew when the rabbi was in the woods. So they'd say, oh, the rabbi's in the woods, the rabbi's in the woods. So this one year when the rabbi was in the woods, and they're saying the rabbi's in the woods, Father Abbott was thinking about his dying order and how sad they were all really getting older, and wasn't there anything he could do? And he thought, the rabbi's in the woods. Maybe I should go talk to him and see if he has any good ideas. So we went to the rabbi's hut, and the rabbi just welcomed him with open arms, and they had a nice little chat. And then he says, I really came to you because we're so challenged. It seems like our order is dying out. I just was hoping maybe you would have some words of wisdom for me. The rabbi said, I'm really sorry. Same thing's happening with us. People aren't coming to synagogue anymore. I don't know what to do. So they talked, they read the Torah, they prayed together. It was just a really nice connection. And as the Father Abbot was getting ready to go, he said, isn't there anything you can tell me that could help any words of wisdom at all might give me some inspiration so that we could move forward. Rabbi says, no, I'm sorry. I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you. So the abbot returned to the abbey, and everybody came and said, oh, did you get any good ideas, words of wisdom? He said, no, but he did say something kind of cryptic at the end. He said, one of you is the Messiah. So they all started to think about that. They started thinking, could that be one of us here, one of the 5 of us? Well, if it is, who would it be? Maybe it's Father Abbott. Of course it's Father Abbott. He's been, for a generation, he's been our leader. He's a very holy man. But then they start to think, maybe it's Father Thomas. He's always right about things. They started to just notice that they began to treat each other in a little more carefully, shall we say, with a deeper respect, as if they were the Holy One. And then the thought came, what if it's me? Oh God, could it possibly be me? Could I be the Messiah? And they began to treat themselves as though they were the Holy One, with more respect, more love, more care. And things began to shift and change. People would come to the grounds of this monastery to picnic from time to time, and they began to notice that there was a certain reverence, like things were almost lit up, that there was something new, a different energy around the monastery. And so they came back more often, and they brought their friends. And finally one day, a young man came up and said, how can I become part of this? So the invitation to you, and I have no idea what time it is to begin to see yourself and others as the presence of the divine. Wouldn't that change the world? Because you are. You truly are. I have another quote, and something you might try if you wish. This comes from Rabbi Michael Lerner. See, rabbis, they know all. They know we're all. He says, try to imagine yourself as one of the manifestations of the consciousness of the universe. You got that? I am a manifestation of the consciousness of the universe. And as part of the totality of all things, a momentary explosion of God energy. We're each a momentary explosion of God energy. Poof, here we are. A momentary embodiment of the spiritual energy of the universe and a force for healing and transformation. If you can do this every single night for 3 weeks in a row, all the while telling yourself, I am part of the consciousness of the universe, a manifestation of the unity of all being. Whenever your conscious attention wanders, gently bring it back and focus on the incredible grandeur of the universe, and I'm adding, and of yourself. Once you succeed in quieting your mind down enough so that you can focus on your breath for 15 minutes, you'll find that in the course of those 3 weeks, you will have a spiritual experience. I'm just saying you should just do this every night. I'm glad you're taking photos. That's good. If you don't have a camera with you, I will give you this page which has the quote, and you can take it home. You can make copies for your friends, okay? So the invitation to us is to really feel that grounding in the divine. And when we're challenged, when stuff happens out there, feel so solid and so centered that you are a healing and transformative presence. You're patient. You're curious. You're not afraid of anything anymore. Oh, I could go off on lots of things right now. You know, one of the passions of my life has been communications, interpersonal communications, and conflict transformation. And the reason for that is that I've had 3 husbands and raised 5 children. So I needed to know how to really get back of what was the appearance of discord. And I know that one of the biggest secrets I have is to just stay grounded in the divine and be curious, trying to understand what's happening out there, because it isn't part of me, and I do not need to take any negative in here, do I? No. So we are each amazing. So I want you to just repeat after me. I'm amazing.
I'm amazing.
I'm the presence of love.
I'm the presence of love.
I'm the presence of deep, grounding peace.
I'm the presence of deep, grounding peace.
The place on which I stand is holy ground.
The place on which I stand is holy ground.
I am a healing presence.
I am a healing presence.
I know this is true.
I know this is true.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Do I get to say a prayer now, or does somebody else do that? Oh, good. So let's just turn within for a moment. Let's just turn within and really feel that divine presence. Really know the light, the life, the love that is right here, right now, the very core of my being is this divine wisdom, love, joy, freedom. Ooh, coming from that place of this infinite oneness with the divine, knowing God is always present, always at hand, answers every call, every question, guides, reveals truth constantly in my life. I just open my heart and mind now to ask, and I invite each person here to just ask within, what is it my heart wants right now? Is it to know this peace, this love? And I know, I accept, I experience in my mind and in my heart, I embody the love, the wisdom, the light that is the truth of who I am. I know that I have freedom to choose, that I live in joy, that my path is well lit. The words I speak, the steps I take are guided by the divine, and that my way is made easy. I take a moment to know these words have simply been a revelation of what is already true. So I can let go and let that divine wisdom handle the details, knowing the good in my life is already mine. I claim it, I accept it, I'm grateful for it. And I give deep thanks that it is so. Will you join me and affirm together as we say, and so it is. Praise God. Love you all.